Hey, it's Chris Aiken from the Classic Metal Show, and I want to invite you to my first ever public book signing. I'll be doing a special reading, question and answer session, and a signing of my new book, Little Victories, A Tale of Divorce, Debauchery, and Finding Happiness on Thursday, March 20th at Visible Voice Books, located at 1023 Kenilworth Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 44113. I'll have a limited supply of Little Victories on hand to sign. I'll be reading selections from Little Victories, as well as telling stories and reading some material that was left out of Little Victories. I'll end with a Q&A session that will be a no-holds-barred affair. The signing will be from 7 to 9 p.m. at Visible Voice Books, 1023 Kenilworth Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 44113. Come out, have some fun, and be a part of a rare appearance from me, Chris Aiken.
It's 6 Feet Under right here on your Classic Metal Show with Non-Existence. And that goes out to our good friend Tom the Scot, who's got all kinds of dating advice for you folks listening to the CMS. And he's always got some good stuff to say, right, Chris? Chris? Hello?
Hello?
All right, there you are.
I'm here.
All right. Well, anyway, 6 Feet Under for Tom.
Yeah, I like that.
And what does that come from?
Was that Maximum Violence, maybe? I don't know. I just grabbed it off my hard drive.
Sure. All right. Well, before we had spoken to Tom, I was going to get into this thing real quick. We've been kind of passing this by for the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
Jeff Tate dons a wig and does a thing for the New Day Northwest performance. He pays tribute to the 60s, I guess.
Yeah. What's he thinking?
Well, he's thinking he thinks he's Peter Fonda in Easy Rider. Which, by the way, that popped up on Netflix the other day, so I was watching that last night.
Easy Rider?
Yeah, have you watched that movie?
Never seen it. Any good?
Well, you know, it's a 1969 release, and it's got Dennis Quaid in it.
Sure.
And Peter Fonda.
Okay.
And you know who's in it? And this one kind of baffled me at first, and then I had to do a little Wikipedia search and all that kind of stuff.
Who's that?
This was so funny to me, but when I looked it up, it was like, holy shit, really?
Okay.
Tony Basil.
Tony, like, oh, Mickey, you're so fine.
Oh, Mickey, you're so fine.
What was she doing in it?
She played the part of a prostitute.
She's probably like 18, 19 years old.
Listen, she's 70 years old now.
Yeah, I was going to say, she was like 30-something.
No, she was 40.
When she was Mickey?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, she's born in 43.
No kidding.
So she was 40 years old when she did the whole Mickey thing.
Yeah, she was a fuckable old lady.
Yeah, so back in 1969, she was already 26 years old.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah, so she played a prostitute in a whorehouse in New Orleans.
Wow, no kidding.
And she was a little knockout. She was a little brunette knockout.
She was hot in the Mickey video.
Yeah, but you know, this was 14 years earlier. Yeah,
but you didn't expect her to be somebody that Tom is fucking when she was younger, did you?
You know, it didn't even occur to me, but I had to look it up, and she's done a lot of stuff.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing. So I watched that because it came up on Netflix. So if you want to watch an old nostalgia movie, kind of a classic, independent classic, watch that Easy Rider.
You know what I watched recently that really kind of blew, and you may or may not agree, but I hated it. Have you seen The Graduate?
Yes.
Did you like it?
It was.
I hated it.
Yeah.
Watched it and was just like, ugh, what is this?
Well, it was one of those first movies that tackled the taboo of an older woman seducing a young man.
Yeah, but and Dustin Hoffman was such a faggot. You know, he knew he was going to fuck her, But then he kept walking around in circles like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't.
Well, but you got to realize this is a young guy being approached by an older woman.
But he knew from the second one he was going to bang her.
Yeah, but at the time when this movie was filmed, that was a very taboo thing.
I guess.
So so he couldn't, as far as the movie portrayal was concerned,
right.
He couldn't just like dive in and go for it.
So are you saying that in the 50s, I always, because we didn't grow up in that era, it's hard to understand it. Like when I was in high school, and that's a few years, probably about 8 years after you.
Right.
And tell me if it was different for you. When I was in high school, there were certain chicks in the school that you just knew you were going to bang.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was other ones that you knew you were going to have to work to bang, but you wanted to. You were willing to do the work to try and bang them. But then there was others that you just knew that you were going to fuck.
Well, but the thing is that those type of girls always existed.
Yeah.
But to portray that in a movie, and I had this discussion last week.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the pinup model Betty Page?
I know the name, but I couldn't pick her out.
Okay, she's the little dark-haired gal. She's got these short bangs, and she's always in very seductive poses from the 50s and the 60s.
Okay.
Okay. She depicted bondage.
Okay.
And just being scantily clad, as it were.
All right.
In the late 50s, early 60s.
Okay.
She had gotten arrested on numerous occasions for indecency and breaking the indecency laws.
Wait a minute. She was arrested?
Yes, arrested.
And it was probably nothing that she couldn't do today every day.
Yeah, she could do it now every day if she was still alive, obviously. I mean, she passed away a few years ago, but back then it went against the indecency laws.
Wow.
So if you think of movies like The Graduate,
mm-hmm.
they couldn't just show somebody just going for it per se. It was a very taboo thing.
Oh, so basically in the old days, art could not imitate life.
No, because it would be inappropriate.
Okay, so and that's probably why some of these movies from the like 70s and 60s that were rated X would be like Showtime movies now or less.
Yeah, basically, yes.
Because I think some of those movies, when you watch some of that shit that was, considered rated X, or Opie and Anthony do this a lot, where they'll pull up, different audio from porn from the 60s and 70s, and you listen to it, and it is so tame.
Compared to today.
Yeah, today you wouldn't even raise an eye. It would be like something you'd see in a movie.
Sure.
Regular movie.
Right.
So it's funny when you really consider all that.
Right.
God, we would be in jail.
Absolutely. We would. Well, getting back to free speech and people who have said things and gotten in trouble for it was Lenny Bruce.
Right.
I mean, he was a comedian in the 60s and he got arrested for indecency.
Yeah, sure did.
So, and he was just saying what was on his mind.
Right. He's our hero, isn't he?
Yeah. So he wasn't, he wasn't like out there exposing himself or anything else. And, I'm sure you remember when the Doors, were popular back in the 60s and the early 70s before Jim Morrison passed away. He had a warrant out for his arrest for indecency.
Right. That's right.
So, they couldn't push that envelope back then.
Yeah, that's just so crazy.
So that movie, The Graduate, when it was filmed, was very taboo for that era.
Yeah. I don't know. And I guess maybe that's why it's just not very, very watchable now, because
mm-hmm.
it just doesn't make sense.
Sure. But I did watch Easy Rider, and if you get a chance to watch that, it's a classic.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Jack Nicholson was in it as well.
Okay.
And, basically it was a movie about the attitudes in America at the time that, they were bikers, and they looked outlawish and they had longer hair and, people in the towns that they rode through to, on their way to New Orleans. They were going from Los Angeles to New Orleans to go to Mardi Gras.
Right.
People would look at them and go, yeah, see, there's a picture of Betty Page in the chat room.
Yeah, that's pretty hot.
Mm-hmm. That's Betty Page.
Yeah, she's pretty hot.
And, oh, yeah, I just read something like a week ago.
Yeah.
Her estate, get this, how much do you think her estate grosses on a yearly basis even now? She passed away like 5 years ago.
Do they sell these pictures?
Well, her estate, her estate is all her nostalgic photos. I mean, she's got hundreds of photos out there and, different merchandise that features Betty Page. What do you think her estate
I gotta think millions of dollars a year, no?
What do you think?
I'll say $10 million a year.
Dead on.
Really?
$10 million a year. Her estate still grosses $10 million a year.
And she's dead.
She's dead, and her last work that she did was like 1963.
God. That's when you've done well in life.
Right. So she became an icon.
See, but that's cool.
Yeah.
But she had to go to jail and everything else to get there.
Yeah, but that was back then. And then after her her prime years were up back in the 60s, she just basically dropped out of the limelight and, she just disappeared.
Well, maybe we need to get arrested for something. That could be what's holding us back. We haven't been arrested for anything we've done on the show.
Sure.
Could be.
I don't know if that's the claim to fame. It's just that she did something that was so taboo at the time that she left an indelible print on the American landscape.
What would you have to do now that would be so taboo that it would leave an indelible print?
Boy, that's
I don't even think fucking a kid would be anymore.
No, that's just being a deviant.
Hey, it's Chris Aiken from the Classic Metal Show. Most people know me as the foul-mouthed shock jock from the Classic Metal Show, or the no-nonsense heavy metal critic from pitriff.com. Now you get to learn the other side. My first book, Little Victories, A Tale of Divorce, Debauchery, and Finding Happiness, comes out on January 13th in paperback and digital formats on Amazon and iTunes. It details my real-world emotional struggles over a year that included a divorce after a quarter century of marriage and the death of my father. It profiles things I did right, as well as a bevy of things that I did wrong with the help of alcohol, and how I found my way out of the muck of the emotional state that almost saw me commit suicide. Pre-order your copy of Little Victories, A Tale of Divorce, Debauchery, and Finding Happiness today at www.chrisaikenbooks.com and get in touch with the more fallible side of me, Chris Aiken. Sounds happy, huh?